The Lord says to his people, when you did these things and I kept silent, you thought I was exactly like you. They were involved in all sorts of immoral things, and because God didn't say anything about that, they assumed that he was okay with it. We have a whole history of people making God into their own image. And the history of religions is basically that. We're all inclined to make God into our own image, to assume that he's exactly like us. Now, keep that passage in mind as I tell you this story. It's about a missionary couple that I had heard about in the late 80s. And this couple was called to go to this tribe in Africa. It was an unreached people group. And the thing about this tribe is, among other things, they practice what's called female circumcision, or now it's usually just called female genital mutilation, which is a more accurate description. But it's a brutal ritual that they perform on young girls that really just ensures male property rights later on. So this couple goes to this tribe, and the thing is you can't just go in and tell a tribe to stop doing a practice that they've been doing for thousands of years. It doesn't work like that. You have to earn the right to speak into their life. And so if they had any hope of ever bringing this tribe to have faith in Christ, to believe the gospel, and eventually see for themselves how wrong this ritual was, if they had any hope of doing that, they would have to first patiently put up with this ritual. So for about 3 years, this couple, and it broke their heart, but they had to endure hearing these girls scream as they're going through this barbaric ritual. And they kept silent about it. And the tribe thought that they were exactly like them. Since if they said nothing about it, they must condone this, they must approve of this. In fact, some of the things that the missionary couple did would give the appearance that they would approve of it. They actually improved the thing to some degree. They taught them sanitation things to keep the girls from getting infected. They brought in better surgical tools to minimize the scarring. They brought in anesthesia and pain medications. So they actually improved the rite, as it were. And so the tribe assumed that they were just like them. In 3 years or so, the tribe ended up converting and then came to see that this ritual was wrong and abandoned it. And so now imagine how differently the tribe's people would interpret the silence of the missionaries now that they know the truth about their character and the truth about what they believe about this ritual. They now would be able to look at their silence and they'd be able to see a heart behind it. They'd be able to see that this couple was suffering that whole time as they were putting up with this. They'd be able to begin to appreciate how it was love that motivated this missionary couple to put up with this. They didn't see that the first 3 years, but now that they're looking back at it, they'd have a very, very different perspective. Now imagine if there's somebody in that tribe who wrote a book about these missionaries from the first day they got there and was just recording all of their missionary activity. And then imagine somebody reading this book 100 years later. This person reading this book 100 years later, they would misinterpret the first 3 years just for all the same reasons that the tribe did. If they didn't know the truth about these missionaries, they would read that and have come to the same conclusion the tribe came to the first 3 years. It's only after this person reading this book would see the truth about these missionaries and the truth about what their belief about this female circumcision ritual was about, only then could they see, as the tribe earlier saw, only now could they see, have a very different interpretation of the missionaries' activities those first 3 years. And they also would now be able to see through the appearance of condoning the ritual. They'd see through that, and they'd see the heart of these missionaries and the love that made them willing to bear this for those 3 years. This is, I think, an analogy to what we have in the Bible. The Bible is really a record of a heavenly missionary. We can think of God as this heavenly missionary, and the earth is sort of this barbaric tribe that he's coming to. And the Bible is the record, the inspired record of this heavenly missionary's activity. Because the goal for the whole creation is love, God makes people free, and he honors that freedom. So he refuses to coerce people into believing the truth. He will not lobotomize anyone so they'll have an accurate view of him, which means that God is very much like in the position of these missionaries. He has to slowly and patiently influence them and move them gradually towards the truth. Can't just come in and lobotomize people to have them all believe the right thing. He's got to work by means of influence. And just as with this missionary couple, it would break his heart sometimes. Some of the things we do and some of the things he has to put up with in order to stay in relationship with us, it would break his heart. But God's always had the love that was willing to do that. And then in this record of this missionary's activity, there comes a time. Paul says, at the right time, the heavenly missionary shows up, and now he's going to give the true revelation of himself. He's going to reveal what he's really like. And this is what we find most clearly on the cross, the full revelation of what God is like. And the cross is really a way of saying, you always thought I was like you. You've always made me after your own image. You always project onto me what you think I should do because it's what you would do if you were me. But now I'm here to show you how radically different I am than you.